What if the only thing standing between you and your next breakthrough was your willingness to feel? Welcome to the Journey Unscripted, a space where real human stories unfold from the inside out. I am Amanda Andrade, founder of Mastering Relationships Academy, Amanda Andrade Hypnotherapy, and author of If You Allow It, You Can Feel It. Here, we explore the raw, emotional truth behind life's transitions, the moments that shake us, shape us, and set us free. Whether you are navigating change, seeking deeper meaning, or simply reconnecting with yourself, this podcast it's your invitation to pause, feel, and reconnect. Because when we allow the truth to rise, we open the door to healing, freedom, and we create it from a place of power, presence, and purpose. This is your permission to feel it all and let the journey be unscripted. Today's journey, I'm here with Joi Rychelle. She is a men's attraction empowerment coach who helps good men become grounded, confident, and magnetic in the dating and the relationships. Through her bold, no fluffy approach, she teaches men how to shift out of nice guy patterns on their masculine energy and attract healthy feminine women without chasing. Joyce bring real talk, emotional intelligence, and mindset rewiring into every conversation to help men becoming the kind of men they respect. Thank you so much, Joy, for being here with us. I'm really grateful for your presence in here today.
Oh, thank you, Amanda. That was such a beautiful intro. Thank you so much. So honored to be here, to be supporting you in this beautiful space online that you're creating. And I love that, it's about being unscripted because that's how life is, right? And that's how relationships are. And dating, when you jump in there, it's very unscripted. It can be very raw and real once you take back the take off the mask. And I know that a lot of men out there put on that nice guy persona, that nice guy mask, because they might be afraid that this woman is going to leave them, or they're not going to be disliked, or they don't want to show up and take rejection. So I am I'm here to be a stand for healthy relationships and really hopefully guide men the way. So I love being in unscripted conversations like this. So thank you.
Yeah, beautiful. And thank you so much for doing what you do because we really need this kind of approach for our humanity and especially in the relationships because for me everything it's about relationship that we have with the food, with money, with our body, the relationship that we have with life itself. And because of these relationships, I would like to ask you what was your why? Why did you choose this path to help men to become the best version of themselves? Can we share with all of us, please?
Yeah, sure. It's so funny you said that because the catalyst of this all is around the relationship, the very strained and non-existent relationship I had with my father. And it's so funny. I just talked to him on the phone this week and he was like, I always see your stuff on Facebook. How did you become an expert in like men or whatever? So I was cracking up when he said that. And he was like, this can't be all like I have nothing to do with this. And I was like, you actually were the reason why this happened, right? And I'm gonna tell you, we had to get off the phone, but I was like, I called him like 2 days later and I was like, and I'm gonna tell you why. But basically my why really started when I was first working with men in the health and wellness space because I'm a certified yoga instructor as well. I trained in India and I came back and from India and really was kind of like, okay, I'm clueless now. But speed up the process, I noticed that men were gravitating towards me as just like coming to me to have them instruct them. And that's kind of where the journey really started around 2020. I really like honed in on serving men in that way. And that business blew up, but I wanted to do something more expansive, right? And try and challenge myself around another pain point that I know men are experiencing, and it's usually around women, right? Around relationships, around dating. So I pivoted, I slowly started to pivot in 2023. But my pure why came from my relationship with my dad. Because my dad is somebody who's very like logical. I don't think has ever been to therapy, doesn't really do like any inner work on himself. Um, I don't even know if he knows like we can go to a hypnosis now, right? A hypnotist and like right and deal with our stuff. He's just not into that. And so I decided to really ground in on working on myself so that I can, and I didn't know this at the time. Like I had like went to a self-development program and it came to me that I really wanted to reconnect with him in 2013, 14. But my whole why is basically like if I could just help one man work on themselves in any type of way, hopefully from mostly from the inside out. But even if they don't know they're coming to me because they're having like sleep issues or they're stressed, it's really starts with the inner work. And so my why was like if I could just help one man work on himself, his relationships will change, his life will change, his relationship with himself first and foremost will change. And then that's going to ripple out, especially if he's a father, right? Or if he's a godfather, or if he's a caregiver for any type of child. It could hopefully change the trajectory of their relationship if it's strained or not there. And so that's where my why was because, I know how powerful this work can be. And I'm like, my dad was not doing this. And this could possibly be the reason why we had such a strained relationship. Maybe had he been doing the work, he would have put the his foot first, right? And step forward instead of me doing it the other way around. But it's fine because like my purpose came out of that. Like I don't regret that it happened opposite. I'm just grateful that I get to be here and I've repaired with him and we're constantly working on our relationship. Trust me, I just talked to him recently the last 2 weeks and we hadn't talked in a year. So we get into our moments. But I always come back to like I want to do this work with him.
Yeah.
So that was where my pure why was really because of the strained relationship I had with my dad and knowing the being on the other end of the result of him not working on himself. And I'm not blaming him,
Hmm.
but maybe things would have been different,
Yeah.
had after he got divorced, after him and my mom got a divorce, maybe things would have been different had he went into like, I'm feeling this type of way and I want to work on myself in this type of way.
Yeah, yeah. Beautiful. And thank you so much to step into your courage and to share this with us really open. And I can relate it to that because you had a challenge. I typically call as a challenge with your dad, which I did have my own challenge with my dad. Before I was even born, I suffered abandonment and rejection,
Mm,
which that made me just to look it out what was behind of that rejection feeling, the abandonment, and really embrace those feelings. And because of my past, that gave me the opportunity to be where I am at nowadays. And because I did not have my dad in that part of my life growing up and really being a healthy masculine um let's say model,
mhm.
because we need that model to our inner masculine energy. And because I did not have that, I have to become my own masculine energy, and did not have no clue about what could be. And for sure that impact in my closest relationship, intimate relationship. And from that, I would like to ask you how that was impacting you with your intimate relationships.
My God, Amanda, we'll be here all day, girl. I'm glad you brought that up because hearing your story, you sparked right what I wanted to say next, and it ended up becoming a question. Is like I also noticed my unhealthy belief system around the masculine energy and men constantly showed up in my romantic relationships. That's where it was like adamant, and I had no idea. I was so blind to it until I worked on my until I started to do inner work on myself, right? And to unravel all of these things. And I'm still unraveling things, but one of my patterns has been like I've been attracted to emotionally unavailable men. Or if they're not emotionally unavailable, they're unavailable in some way. Like they're really like physically there, but they're not really physically there. They're like, I can see you based on my schedule and what's convenient for me. Or like they're there physically, but they're like not emotionally connected, have no emotional intelligence, can't really hold space for me, or don't know how to express themselves. That's another reason why I love the coaching part of this, of doing this work with men, because it gives them a space to really fully express themselves. I now understand doing that work too, that men usually don't feel safe enough to express themselves, or like you said, maybe it hasn't been modeled for them. So it's like easier to like be like, oh well, I'm gonna guard myself and protect myself. And I understand, especially like men who are out here working with their purpose, some of that you do have to do. Like, I feel like you should have a little bit of that guard up when you're doing business out in the world. But I'm not your business partner. Like, I'm your girlfriend or I'm your wife. I'm your, there's a moment where you could like flip that just a little bit. So yeah, that's been my like pattern, and I've been slow like still breaking it more, because I'm like I feel like men that are that way come in my field less more and more now. Like I'm not constantly bringing them in. I feel like, so it's really impacted me heavily in that way. And when I started to do the work and unravel all these things, it came back to like, oh, this is all about my father. This has to do with my strained relationship with my father, and also it was unfortunate because I got to like taste both sides of the coin, because me and my dad were really close when I was young. So he would take me everywhere with him. He would cook and like feed me. He would always sit me on his lap. I actually have memories of this being a
Mhm.
child. And all that was like snatched away from me like out of nowhere, right? Because nobody explained anything to me either. So I went from having that and having a nurturing, healthy, masculine example around me to like it's instantly gone and it disappears. And
Yeah.
so, I'm sure it was shocking to my nervous system because my parents got divorced when I was 8, and I had my own ways of coping with it, but like it was very adamant as I would start to unravel these things. And I would notice that I had a disdain towards my father, right? But because of not just that, something else happened. We talked a bit one time when I had to go back, when I wanted to go back to college, and I contacted him to ask him for his help, and he told me no. And it made me even more like, you haven't shown up for me this long, and I asked you for one thing, and you can't even show up for me this way. And it just, it solidified whatever disconnect and upset and anger and resentment and frustration I was feeling around men. And I did not know it because it was like really subconscious and buried. So they would show up being unavailable, physically abusive, not physically, verbally. I was in like when I was like 18, somebody who was verbally abusive, to me in a way. And I would tolerate that because I'd experienced abandonment, from like my dad being gone for so long. I'm like, I want to hold on to these unhealthy relationships and these unhealthy dynamics I'm having with men in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
And I had to come to realize that like I got to mature and grow up and grow out of that wounded little girl. And now, like you said, my masculine gets to show up for her. And yeah, she's happy like dad is back around, but I'm also like, first and foremost, if he disappears tomorrow, like I'm still here for you, The masculine part of me is like, what do you need right now? Like, why are you having a temper tantrum? Why are you feeling like you're so upset because now you're not dating this guy anymore? So I'm constantly very conscious around her feelings and what she feels, because I feel like sometimes when you go through like a divorced parents or abandonment, like you said, you experienced it really early on, in life, that our inner child really gets like starts to split off from us and like start almost like runs the show when like we feel rejected or somebody breaks up with us or we even have to break up with them, you know? Like it's like the little girl, she feels so wounded. And so I always have to bring back that like it's okay. Like the world hasn't crumbled.
Mhm. Yeah.
He wasn't healthy for us, but I'm going to show up for you and be there for you and love you regardless.
Yes. Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful. And so much to add it on it. And it it is really nowadays, because we are coming from a healthy space to embracing our inner child and to meet the needs that we did not have met in our childhood. And all of that happened for a reason. It's for our spiritual growth. It's for our personal growth. You mentioned about the personal growth that lead you to seek for an answer, for an inner connection that you did not have outside. Because basically, we are seeking the outside matching with our internal needs, and their journey, it's really unscripted. Because whenever we don't have this example, this model in our childhood, we become this seeker of trying to fix something, trying to fill it up, the abandonment, the rejection. And it's really reconnecting with the inner part of us. And I can just remember whenever I was in this dynamic about my masculine energy. And because I did not have my dad, my masculine energy was very let's say I couldn't feel the presence very strong.
Mhm.
And because I did not have that model, I become my own model. And with this way, I suppress my feminine energy.
Yes, me too.
And you can relate it because we suppress the feminine energy. We become out of balance for a moment, because the out of balance give us the perspective and the perception that we choose to look inward to see what's going on. And because I did not have the model, and I was projecting the lack of the masculine model in my life, and that projection became challenge in my interpersonal relationships. And not only that, I was totally disconnected from that masculine energy, because I had physical abuse, not from the man, but I had physical abuse in my childhood, emotional from my mom, because she was not emotional available for me. And because she was not emotional available for me, I became so attached to her pain, trying to fix or solve her,
Mm,
and not really like having my space to keep growing. And I had the sexual abuse from a man, my uncle, a family member in my family. So all of that projection on the masculine energy, it's not safe. They're gonna attack me, and all of that uneasy feeling in my body, and it's really shaped that. And whenever I decided just to shift, just like you, and now I would like to ask you, what was the point that you make that shift, that you say like, now I'm going to really take care of myself? When was the point that you decided to shift and really work inside of you, your personal growth? There was a moment for that?
um, it wasn't like a defining moment like that. Like, oh, I when I experience like going about to go through a big transformation, I usually hit some type of rock bottom. So I remember back in 2012, I was really feeling so unhappy, just unhappy with my life in several different ways. And I remember just like because at that point I was a bottle service waitress and a bartender, and I was working full time doing that. So I was constantly working at night. I'm sure my nervous system was all turned upside down because I was like, the nighttime was day for me, daytime was night, And I just knew I had a bigger purpose as well. Like I started to like work with essential oils and on myself, and then work with them with other people and share them. And I don't know, I would like come home here and there from work and just like lay on my couch and cry. So that was a defining moment for me where I did my first self-development program. But what led me to that was my best friend, who's still my best friend now. She's like my sister. We weren't talking during that time. We had like a strain. We had like silence in our relationship, right? It was just like a little stagnation where we were just taking some time. And I was really heavily like in my own crap. So, and she was working on herself. And so but I had her chairs in my house. So when she came after she did this program, the self development program, she came to my house to get her chairs. And I was like, oh my God, why does she look so happy? Like, what Kool-Aid is she drinking? What happened? And it kind of like the rest was history. Then she gave me like the biggest hug. She took her chairs. We like started reconnecting.
Richelle,
And I was like, "What Kool-Aid are you drinking, girl?" And then that's kind of what happened. Like,
Richelle.
oh, ooh, yes. Hold on.
You back?
I'm back. Okay, sorry about that. That may happen.
We are in a Mercury retrograde.
Yeah,
I'm with that.
it happens
And the
on
audience will be
Tuesday.
okay too.
Yeah, I don't know how much you heard, but basically, like,
I heard until the point that you say that she got back to your house to pick it up the chairs and she was so happy, and then you
yeah,
didn't understand her happiness, and then you saw that she took something, drink something.
I was like, what Kool-Aid is she drinking? Like, what is happening? Long story short, she shared this program with me called Momentum Education. It's a self-development program based here in New York. And the rest was history. I went to an intro night and I was like, I have no idea what the hell this is still, but something was calling me to it and I listened to that. And it was interesting. I'm going to say now, I know it was my intuition. I know it was spirit saying, "Yes, take this step because you're so unhappy." So it really happened like that, right? Because after that, then I actually end up doing all three levels of uh momentum. Then they have like a mastery, like a mini mastery like thing called mastery, that's like a weekend. And then after that I actually went into group therapy. And before that I was like, like, especially being a person of color, like, it's different now, but it's like, you know what I was programmed to believe is like therapy is for crazy people. You're not supposed to tell your secrets to people. Like that doesn't work for us. Like people our skin color, like we supposed to like keep it to ourselves and repress those feelings and not process them. So even though uh that program was like mostly like a self-development program, it had very a spiritual component to it. I was like, I feel something in these rooms and I feel myself opening up and getting vulnerable and crying and realizing I want to reconnect with my father. Like that's when I realized it in that program when I got to leadership. So that was like the defining moment, but it didn't happen like I was walking one day and was like, "Oh, I need to work on myself." I think that's the beauty of life being unscripted because you don't necessarily have an epiphany like that. It's kind of like you get to hit rock bottom and then be like, yo, okay, whatever I was doing before wasn't working. It's time to do something different.
Yeah.
And there's different levels of rock bottom, but that's kind of what happened. And I went into group therapy, and then the one woman that was running the group therapy, I went into like one-on-one therapy with her. Then after that, it was slowly I was getting into yoga. It was like right over the years, just this thing. I got into plant medicine. Like it was just slowly, like it didn't happen like right away. This was like years. I started noticing I would get in conversations with different people about ayahuasca. I was like, I'm going to do this one day. I don't know how. I would meet strangers
Mhm.
off the street. Literally, once I was bartending and I had a conversation with this dude about ayahuasca, and I was like, this is no coincidence, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but that was really the moment when I really started. Had my best friend not come to my house, I don't know what other way like spirit would have led me to do this work. And it in that program, like I said, a lot around the masculine in my father was coming up. And that's been a constant theme when I work on myself, right?
Mhm.
My relationship with the masculine and
Yeah.
getting it healthier, not just the masculine within myself, but the masculine energy in general. And that's why my YouTube channel is like called the Healthy Masculine. I remember you mentioned that because there's different versions of masculinity, and I feel that masculinity was never inherently toxic, but there can be the shadow side of it. But at the end of the day, there is a healthy part of it, and I'm, a stand and a pattern interrupt for how to show men how to do that. So, for example, like being a nice guy is not a healthy masculine example
Yeah.
because like you're attached to like wanting people not to abandon you or not to have those difficult conversations, and relationships are about growth. It's about doing the work. So
Absolutely. I wish my ex partner would have this conversation with me.
look, maybe they'll hear it. You never know. When you put yourself out there, you never know. I That's so funny you say that, Amanda, because my boyfriend from like years ago found my YouTube channel and been leaving comments. And I'm like, I am so, and he's left some of the most beautiful comments. And one of them he actually gave me feedback on. But I was like, since I've worked on myself, I'm like, I have no disdain to this man. We were together for 4 years. We had a very interesting relationship and not always very honest with each other. But I'm like, it was like a full circle moment, literally. I was like, how did he find me? He was like, you came up in my feed one day, just out of to dropped you in my feed, I guess, based on what he looks at, right? And and I was so pleasantly surprised to find you. So look, it's possible. I'm telling you, I live in that, and I just discovered that like a month or two ago, because he had left me a comment and I didn't see it, and somehow I was like, wait, and his I saw his whole name, and I was like, oh
Oh
my
my God.
god. But I think that I'm also so grateful. And so he'll like chime in on the conversation here and there on like certain videos. And
Yeah,
it's like all love now, like all love for him.
it is.
You
And I
know?
mean, our relationship end up because we are not compatible anymore. And it is okay for you to accept that you are not compatible with somebody. And that's when I really learned about love. Let others voluntarily evolve,
Hmm.
because I was pushing him because I was not feeling safe in that relationship,
Yeah.
but not because of him, because of myself, because it was a projection. I'm not feeling and I wanted to control that, and controlling to feel safe. And of course, I saw some patterns, but when you're in it, it is a totally different dynamic.
I agree.
And then I have to step away because I was not feeling happy. I was like, this is not normal. It's just being this disagreement and all of that. This is something going on. And then I was doing the inner work. And then I told him, just say no. If you don't want it to say something or doing something, just say no. Honor that. But it's because it's just that fear of losing somebody, and you become the people pleaser. Whenever you say the nice guy, he didn't want to say no for his family, his friend, and for myself. And I embrace this moment that I'm sharing this because it's a process and it's a journey. And I honor him so much as I honor myself, because was a growth in that relationship. And that growth took us to where we were to where you are at now. He's in his journey and I'm over here. But it is really what you're saying. It's not to be a nice guy, it's really to break the patterns on your own energy, which you just mentioned, the healthy masculine energy, and set the boundaries within yourself,
Yeah.
and really go inward and just met the needs of your inner child, and just move forward, because relationships are growth. It's so beautiful whenever you understand that, and whenever you make that commitment with yourself first. Because once you have that commitment with yourself, okay, I am making these conscious decisions to be in this relationship, and I understand that I am going through in a moment that will be uncomfortable. But in order for me to break through, what do I need to become?
Correct. Yes.
And what do I need to embrace? And you mentioned about the shadow part of our masculine energy and the feminine energy. And for me to balancing out both energy, masculine and feminine, I have to embrace the shadow part of both, and really letting go control, trusting the process just like you did it, right? You trust the spirit was guiding you in the path, because it's really it's a spiral. We go down and we go up, and what it's above, so it's below, it just take us for where we need to be, people we need to meet, and what is the next step. As long as we surrender for the process and feeling uncomfortable, it is the secret of it, because it's not going to last forever. And now I'd like to ask you, how do you guide your clients, and for our audience that are listening to that, right? That is a big belief system in the collective,
Hmm.
which is like weakness and vulnerability. And I have these friends, clients, they don't want it to be vulnerable, and then I teach them the way that vulnerability is different than weakness. Once you embrace your vulnerability, you become powerful. And so how do you approach that in your coaching, in your daily, and even with yourself, because you really embrace vulnerability? So we would like to listen you.
Yeah. I love that you asked this question. It puts me on the spot because it's still a process with me. I'm noticing. Like, for instance, I had like a friend leave me a voice memo and check on me, like two friends, and they're men actually, like checking on me, and I haven't been completely open with them and sharing like what I'm experiencing, I did tell them a little bit like my dog is sick and things are happening, blah blah blah. And so it's even I get to remind myself in these relationships that are important to me, it's safe to open up, Joy. Like no one's gonna like break your heart or abandon you or judge you if you show up a certain way, or it like your life is looking messy and you're looking messy. They're honestly asking you, like being and like wanting to hold that space of the healthy masculine men in my life, right? They're both like really good platonic friends, and one I've known for a very very long time. And so that's, a constant that's a constant reminding myself to be the work that I teach, right? And as far as like how I work on it with men, I'm still navigating this. I'm going to be honest because of course we know one uh weakness, you're weak if you cry, you're not a man if you don't do X, Y, and Z. If you don't wake up at 4 a.m. and eat raw meat and go out into the world and crush it. We know that alpha male content like programming is out there, right? That our men are taking in. We know that maybe their caregivers or somebody who was in their life that was a man possibly dropped that type of programming into them when they were little boys and coming up as preteens and teenagers. And also maybe their friend group and the things that they watch and what was modeled for them, which we've been talking about, has all influenced why they're so guarded, along with their own experiences, especially when it comes to women. Because what I'm experiencing, not with the men that come to me, but just out in the collective, from the feedback I'm getting, the comments I'm getting on YouTube. And I'm not saying all men are like this. That's the exception to the rule. But I'm basing it on what I'm reading in the comments on my own channel. A lot of men want to blame women for their issues around relationships and women, right? As opposed to like what we're talking about, coming back to yourself and looking at, well, I'm the common denominator. So there's something within me as well that I can look at, that I can grow from. Maybe there's some core beliefs there. And one of them may have to be with like not being able to open up, one to date, one to put yourself back out there with women again, or not opening up in your relationship. And so I'm even stirring away from using the word vulnerable with men because it doesn't really land unless they have worked on themselves. So I'll usually use the word like open up or
Mhm.
open, or how would it be to be less guarded? And how I'm doing that with men now, actually, it comes back to what you opened this conversation up with around energetics. It's so important. So I stand in my healthy feminine energy with them. And that is my superpower. I do know that with men, just in general, that I might meet out on the street, my clients, and also men I have relationship with, I'm very good at holding space in a feminine way that makes them feel safe, not threatened, where they can come into the space and be like, okay, I actually can tell her my deepest dark secrets. And I actually don't know why I can tell her or trust her, but I'm saying it right now, you know? I've experienced witnessing that in real time and coaching men one on one online, where they're just like, we'll have like the first or second session and they're just like, and they just let it all out. I'm so grateful that they trust me enough to do that, because that is me witnessing them being vulnerable, even if they don't think they're being vulnerable, right? Right in that moment, they're letting it out. They're letting me see their shadow. They're letting me see their mess. They're expressing things to me that they may not be able to tell somebody in their everyday life, or if they're in a relationship. I've dealt actually surprisingly more with single men. So I haven't really come up against like a man who hasn't been able to tell. I've come up against like, oh, men getting out of a relationship and were like, oh, I couldn't tell her this, or my ex-wife, I would never express this to them. But that's how I've been able to it's usually not me saying it. Like I'll say it in my content, and like I said, I'm exploring with using even different verbiage so that it can land a bit more, because I know some men even get triggered by the word vulnerability or vulnerable, which is fine. I'm okay with my content triggering people, but I'm experimenting with just different words that mean the same thing. So yeah, that's how I've been able to do that when men start to come in and work with me, or been able to somehow do it in the content, the comments of my content, where I'm showing up feminine. I'm not being their mother when I respond back to them. I'm not being like, oh, you need to do X, Y, and Z. I'm very much feminine, like, oh, hey, even if they were rude, hey, welcome to the channel. So happy you chimed in. Like, thanks for the feedback. I understand that this is your perspective, but this is actually what I meant in this content of what I said. So things like that. And I can actually hear myself like saying it softly as I'm typing. And it was something I had to learn. Like it was because I used to like get set off when they would say something, because I put um, so much intention and love, and like hold my content so sacred when I'm putting it out there, that I'm like I would like get like go from 0 to 100. Somebody would say something like, and then I was just like, it's okay. We talking about the inner child. They may be responding to me from their wounded little boy, and it's not necessarily the adult parts of them. And I get to remember that and be okay with like, they don't have to like me. They don't have to agree with me. Maybe I've planted a seed like that they'll realize later on. But that's how I've been able to do that, is really hone in on my energetics around bringing my feminine, healthy feminine energy to the forefront, so that they can also have an example of that in a real life touch point with it, right? I'm not with them romantically, but I'm an example.
Yeah.
And they're interacting with me and engaging with me, whether it's in a coaching call, and or like in the comments of my content. And I hold this work so sacred. So when a man like just opens up like that to me, I'm just like, yes, thank you. This is like a holy moment between me and him, because I know like maybe in his real everyday life he can't do this with everybody. So I feel really I hold it very, very sacred, and I don't take it for granted or just like, oh, like willy-nilly. I really hold that space very I don't know, just very like sacred and loving.
Yeah, yeah, beautiful. And I agree with you. It's really sacred
Yeah.
because that's where you came from.
Yeah.
That's our healed wound. It's really, and I love when you touch about the feminine energy. For me, was about that, and I noticed my journey opening up as much as I was embracing my masculine energy with my feminine energy. And it's really beautiful and powerful. And I would like to touch on this and really congratulate you. Maybe you realize that, but I would like to say you want to be more vulnerable about what you're doing, putting yourself out there and having all of those people just comment. This is a really vulnerable moment that you do.
Mhm.
It's really be out there, no matter who say, if they agree or not. You are just doing what comes from your heart. You are just helping other people to be empowered because you know and you be embodying in your own journey their lessons, their journey, because that's how we grow. And I couldn't see myself on that path as well. So I realized before, as much as I was opening up, like you say, being vulnerable and crying and just like working through, and really like it's a daily working, it's surrendering every day. And I am so thankful that I found a mentor that he become my masculine energy model, and he just like rewriting my masculine energy because he was a safe space for the masculine and the feminine. And actually he healed his story, his background, his past, through the feminine energy.
Yeah.
And it was just, it's so empowering. And then each and every day that I've been stepping into my power, the feminine energy, it is just, it's a bliss, it's orgastic because it's really this safe space that we are not taught how to step in it. Because if we are taught how to step in it, the word could be just like a blessing and a bliss and all of that. But it's really now we are just working through those moments and sharing our path with others and empowering them as well, because it's about exchanging value. We are doing that all the time, and that's how we just be better and healthier. And just like you just notice things in your journey. And at least for myself, I just like, okay, what or how do I need to reframe this? It's really like a mirror for me and give me the perspective and opportunity to just like, okay, this is something that I still are working on it. This is something that I overcome. And this is something that I'm willing to grow. And how, from now on, how has been your experience like interacting with your audience and just because you mentioned also about the sacred plant medicines. How
Yeah.
has been this holistic experience in your own journey?
Um, it's helped actually set up the foundation for my work with men, I feel. Because it's like it's an anchor for me to always come back to, whether it's journaling, plant medicine, breath work, meditation. It's something to ground me and anchor me back into this moment, right? The present moment, but also when I'm feeling like I don't want to open up, or when I'm feeling like, you know, we started this conversation talking about cycles, when I'm in a certain place in my cycle, and just like a reminder to really have that strong foundation of my own spiritual work, my own connection with spirit, my own work that I'm doing on myself, right? Because like you said, it keeps us empowered. It keeps us out of victim mentality. It keeps us in the conversation of choice, prosperity, love. Oh yeah, if I do when I do this work, it actually helps remind me that all men aren't the patriarchy, and we don't have to hate them as female, like we don't have to hate all men in the world as females. Like, let's not get it twisted. Feminism had a place, but the extreme of it is going into that conversation. And so like that my journey, like the work I'm doing with myself, has helped create a foundation to keep me grounded, to keep me in the practical, to keep me also in the possibility, like anything's possible, right? We can have healthy relationships. We can mitigate and dissolve gender wars and heal each other so that women and men can come back together in healthy union. We can do that for ourselves with our own masculine and feminine energy. A lot of this has to do with, like you said, we've been seeding all through this conversation, coming back to self. And so that's really what the core of my work is empowering men to come back and have a healthy masculine relationship with themselves so that they can then express that in the world, and then they'll start to learn and be more effective of using that masculine energy, and not just their masculine, knowing when to use their feminine energy to
Mhm.
be in relationship, to be healthy in relationship,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
So, and not just romantic. This can work in platonic. This can work in business, right? But it may be a different come from and where you're showing up, but um, which helps ground me too. And I like that it helps keep me grounded in, okay, to remember that I am dealing with men, that so my language and the way I show up is going to be a little bit different with them, like working with them as clients. Like, I'm usually more like very direct in my content, even though I'm like still feminine. I'm very direct, focused, clear, um but also doing it with an open heart.
That's beautiful because it's really what it is about the work that we do. It's an open heart. It's to hold a space for a transformation.
Yeah,
And I'm gonna get back to what you say about seeing them opening up. Whenever I have like a man client,
yeah,
so empowering because I'm seeing them step into the feminine energy,
yeah,
and that give me, it's so much out of there, the bliss and the blessing, because you see in that moment the alchemy that they've been transformed, because they are just like putting the shelf outside and just melting in crying, melting on their own feelings. It's so empowering, and it just give us so much, because that's their exchange. We are holding space, and then they are be able to transform, and they transform not only the interpersonal relationship, like with a spouse or girlfriend, or like being single. It transforms everything,
yeah,
like the relationship in the business scene. They become more successful, let's say this, because they think they are not successful, but they are. But because they open it, they see results, because that's how the human mind measure results of success. That's when they are seeing, oh, this is working. But it's actually, it start working the moment that you make your decision to work in yourself, to opening up, and really step more and more into to that power, and just helping others, and to be there for themselves, and to share this moment with humanity and others. And that's how we do the ripple effect. It's just, at least for me, it's so beautiful to see that, just like reverberating, like get the effect, and then you see it, and you're just like, oh, I did something, and then that person it's doing, and then it's the chain. And i I feel so blessed that you are doing this work, helping the masculine energy, not only for them, but first for yourself. And because you are choosing to do this work, it's really like every day standing up for you, and just embracing all of your emotions, because it's all about that, embracing our emotions, and just and feel it. And because that's when I say at the beginning, those past memories that shape us, but also shake us and set us free. And once we are just embracing those, that illusion, right? That we have the perception about the event, and then we just let it go and surrender. Oh, girl, yes, we see people laughing, we see people just being the flow of the divine because it's
Right.
about that.
And I do want to say to the men out there, like, happen to be listening to this, I'm not saying go on a first date and become waterworks, right? Just let it all out, right? You know, we all can have discernment around when it's time to like open up a bit more with somebody we're dating or somebody we're in a relationship with. But I encourage the men out there to see if you can flip the mindset around, okay, if I shut down and be guarded, that's the best way I'm going to protect myself. That's the best thing for me and this relationship. It actually may be the opposite. If like I express myself to her or say something or speak my desires or needs, like I'm not going to it's not going to end in war, or I'm not going to be like mothered or told no, or have to go into my little boy wound, or it's not going to remind me of like my mother reprimanding me or something. You actually may be pleasantly surprised when you open up a little bit, with the woman that you're with or the woman that you're courting and cultivating a romantic relationship with, what it could do for the relationship, what it can do for the woman you're with. Is like, wow, he trusts me. Wow, like this is the next part of our journey, and now we get to like have a conversations that we might not have gone to, like had he like shut down and just left. So it might take baby steps with men, because I understand like some of the reasoning of why they would want to do that, but it's not always the best choice, even if you're comfortable with that. And it may have been familiar in your like household as a child. Maybe you needed to protect yourself and like shut down and guard yourself to not be hurt by somebody again, but you're not a child anymore, so there's something, you can choose something different. um and that's the beauty, like what you said around working with men, because a lot of men come to me work thinking like it's something external they want to work on. And yes, it may be, maybe we're working on it simultaneously, but I usually end up going back to do some work with them that's deeper, which
Yeah.
is awesome when it like starts to get to that point, because it's like they didn't even realize it.
Yeah, yeah, and that's how they can get intimate with their partner, and
Hmm.
that's for me, it's an intimacy,
Yeah.
and it's intimacy. It's not like the physical way of being intimate with somebody. It's emotional intimacy, and people don't realize that. And as much as the men, they step into their power and they really ownership that energy, right? The shadow self, and then the healthy everything of your being, they become their healthy being. They are able to connect deeply with that person in front of them, and vice versa, because you're going to attract what you need in order for you to keeping evolving. And it's just beautiful whenever you have that kind of intimacy. And it's just that's one thing that I wish for everybody, to have self intimacy, because it's really, it's take you into the places inner, right, inward, that you never couldn't imagine that you couldn't be. And if you are able to connect with yourself in that deep level, thinking about it with somebody else, it's just incredible. Incredible. And Joy, as we are getting to the end of this podcast, I
Yeah.
would love to say thank you so much for being here with us, sharing all of your story, being vulnerable, and for our audience that are listening to this. Please just go ahead and find her links on the place that I'm gonna put it on it. Reach out for her and really embrace your journey, and she's gonna support you with what she can. And it's just there. Just make the decision to be the best version of you. And now, I would like to ask you this: if you have one phrase or a word to share with all of us, and this message is going to reach every single human in the earth, what would be?
Wow. That was a really good question. Sheesh, let me see. Um, I guess one of my messages would be, since this was like a theme we tied into, like, be okay with being real and true to yourself. And when you're okay with that, then that's going to really allow you to show up in your relationships like that. And I say that to say because that's part of being in your healthy masculine energy. When you show up, when you fully step into being who you are and being unapologetic around that, you'll attract the type of women that will appreciate that. Not just women, business partners, friends. People will want to be around you. You're magnetic because you're standing in your truth and you're not hiding your masculinity or what you think people should have you be. So be real and authentic and true to yourself, and then express that out in the world.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you so much for listening to us, and looking forward to connect with all of you. Thank
Thank you
you.
so much.
Yeah, let me just stop